Hello, everybody. My name is Julie. It's nice to meet you all again. And this week, today actually, we'll be working and talking about artwork. More specifically, 5 ways to develop your artwork. So, let's get started. All right, good to see you all here. Number one, use real life. Yeah, I know, you hear that a lot, but I'm just gonna say it anyways. Some of my best drawings I did when I was half asleep at 6 a.m., quickly sketching my next door neighbor's property because it was really pretty and the sunrise was up. And that one is still really well liked. So it's okay to use references, it's okay to use real life and whatever is around you, no matter how boring it may seem to you. No matter if you've lived there your entire life, to someone else it's something brand new and it's interesting and it's something that they typically wouldn't see. So don't be afraid to use it. Don't be afraid to study it. That is one really, really, really good way to help develop your skills as an artist. So don't kind of forego doing that. Anyways, on to number two, study art. As in, don't be afraid to watch YouTube videos of all the different types of artists, from new to accomplished, or just looking at artwork in general. Because a lot of times we say study art, but we really don't know what that means. We say, oh, just go to a museum and look at it, which is perfectly valid. Sometimes going to a museum and seeing the Van Goghs and the Mona Lisas and the Picassos, well, they're helpful and useful and can get you some interesting ideas. But also, they aren't there to necessarily teach you everything. They're there to give you an inspiration, to give you ideas, and give you strokes and brushes and the general ideas of what you want to do. But they don't show you. What you want to do is you want to study art from people who are doing it now, who are doing it currently, who have also studied art from these famous people as well as other people. So keep that in mind while you're going forward. Sometimes it's best just to acknowledge that, hey, I don't know what this painting means, so let me see a YouTube video on it. Let me go to Vimeo and see if someone has any information there. It's okay to use YouTube to grow as an artist. It's what it's made for. So that's a huge thing to think about, and don't be afraid to do. All right. Number three, stop focusing on finding your style. You'll get it as you develop as an artist, so stop trying to push it. Like, seriously, just stop. I know that was one thing I was told all the time when I was younger, that I had to find my style, I had to find my groove, my ideas, and that if I didn't, I wouldn't be unique, I wouldn't be a professional artist. And that's, I'm just going to outright say it, that's bullshit. you you can't find your style if you're actively searching for it. You will develop it on your own, gradually. That's just the way it works. You, just like with the previous action of studying art and using real life, you gather everything that you've learned throughout practicing artwork and doing the different drawings and different sculptures and such that you do, and that's how you eventually get your style. It's not something you necessarily create through your own thoughts or your own, technically even your own skills. It's something that you end up getting over time. So keep that in mind. It's not a one shot and done. It's a constantly developing, constantly growing, constantly evolving thing. So even if you, for instance, find your style, not necessarily going to mean that that style is going to stay that way. It's going to continue developing, continue growing, continue being something bigger. So just remember that going forward. There's nothing wrong with taking your time. That's all you need. Just take your time. Because it's not going to develop in a day. It's not going to develop in a week. So don't be afraid of that. Okay? With that, on to number 4. Allow yourself to fall and fail over and over. The main thing is that happens to anyone. Failure is a part of life. It is something that, don't mind me, just fixing that. It is something that we deal with as authors and artists and anything that can possibly happen. Failure is literally life. But the main thing you need to do is note down where you failed and focus on those areas to improve. And you'll slowly get them over time. So, for instance, I am terrible at backgrounds, specifically like buildings and of the sort. So, what I often do is I force myself to work on them, to develop them and figure out how to use perspective and how to make them interesting. That's one of the things I focus on, even if I still continue doing my regular artwork, which is people drawing. So don't be afraid to fail because you're going to. I think there was an old saying where you will fail 1,000 times before you succeed once. And that's true. There's 1,000 drawings in any artist sketchbook, no matter how big or small they are, that you typically don't see. You see the work that they're proud of, the biggest work that they finish, not the thousands and thousands and thousands of sketches that they've done in the past that look like crap. And that's just the way it is. All of us do it. All of us have that. So again, failure is a thing. It's going to happen. I'm not saying to accept it. You don't have to necessarily. But acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it's a possibility. Acknowledge that sometimes and most of the time it's going to happen, and then push through. Keep going, keep trying, keep striving for what you want to do and how you want to go with your artwork, and that will allow you to actually develop your artwork in a way that will surprise you. Because failure is also learning, just as much as any of these other topics are. So keep that in mind. And with that, we're on to number 5. Now, this one is a commonly talked about one, so I'll be somewhat brief with it, but I'm still going to mention it. Use references. No, I'm not joking with this one. I don't care if you're a newbie who has never touched a brush or pen before, or the most acclaimed artist in the world. Everyone and their grandmother uses references for posing, lighting, you name it. It happens. Use it. It's there for a reason. Now, I say all of this as someone who didn't use references for the longest time, and because of that, I found myself not actually improving whatsoever. Sure, I would get a better feel for what I was able to do at the time, but I wasn't actually developing in any way that was useful. I wasn't, just like with real life, with studying art, I wasn't utilizing it the way it was supposed to be. And as a result, my artwork and my, time was basically wasted. And so now, very much more recently, I've actually started using references, not necessarily for the first time, but more consistently, and I found myself improving immensely. And I kind of hit myself now thinking, why didn't I do this earlier? So even if you think you don't need them, use them. Even if you think that, oh, I'm above that, no, you're not. No one is. Even the best artists out there still use them. So don't be afraid to use references. Now, I'm not saying trace. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is utilize them, look at them, acknowledge what they're doing, see how their form and shape and lighting and everything is valuable, and then take it from there. You want to use it as a point of reference, not as a trace and go, because that's not what art is. Art is learning from what's around you, what you can see, or even here for some artists, and create beautiful or organic works because of that. So that is a huge one, and I know it's talked about often, but it's talked about for a reason. So don't be afraid to use it because it will help you develop your artwork immensely. And so, with that, we have talked about my big 5 tips on ways to develop your artwork. What are some of the ways you've done it in the past? I'm really curious to know. On top of that, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below and ring that bell for notifications. And if you were curious, I do have a couple other, I guess you can say, videos that you can check out right over here. For now, it was good to talk to you. Take care, and I hope this helps. Bye!